Good evening, everyone. We are back. Listen, I know what Patrice is trying to do. I mean, because this actually is listed as part 4, when it's really part 6 of an 8-part series. And Patrice, are you just trying to get me to come back for 4 more? I mean, you don't even know if the people want me back for 4 more, and you're just trying to keep it at 4.
8-part series.
Okay.
And Patrice, are you just trying to get me to come back?
I gotta turn that down. I was hearing myself in the background, Patrice.
We are trying to keep you here until January 1 because we need to get our lives together before the end of the year.
All right. Well, listen, tonight is going to be special. And listen, we're just so that you know, next week is Thanksgiving on Thursday. We're off on Thanksgiving. All right. And Patrice has some special advice for you for your Thanksgiving meal. Patrice, are you ready to share that with us today?
No, I may do it at the break.
You may do it at the break. Okay. Okay. But listen, at the break, folks, listen, you want to be prepared for some really good advice for Thanksgiving. But next week we are off, but we will be back for the last 2 sessions after Thanksgiving. Okay. So listen, folks, here's what we're going to do. I need your input. So I need you to be thinking about what shows you, what information you would like me to cover when we come back after the Thanksgiving break. Okay. So be thinking about it. I need to see some ideas in the chat so that we can talk about some things that are important to you. Now, I've brought some information to you, and I hope it's been beneficial. But let's see what you can bring to the table, and I will be able to talk about it. I just want to talk about those things that are important to you. So we're going to get some ideas. All right. So hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. I need you to say hi to me. And listen, I got something special for you today. The guy's name is Perry Jeffries. Perry Jeffries. And I'm going to be introducing him in just a little bit. We're going to have prayer first. All right. And then I'm going to give you a little background and then an introduction. Okay. So let's pray. Father and God, we thank you once again for being here with us, giving us knowledge, giving us information, blessing us with the ability and the wherewithal to manage the resources that you put us in charge of and that you are giving to us. And Father, we know that if we do a good job, if we are faithful stewards, you will give us more to handle. And I pray, Father, that we will, as individuals and corporately, we will be able to receive 100% of what you have for us as individuals and as a church body. We thank you for being here with us, and we thank you for Perry Jeffries, who's going to be sharing with us, and also Patrice, who runs everything in the background. We thank you for everything that is, and please bless each and every person that's here live, watching and listening, and for all of those who will watch the replays, bless them as well. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, folks, listen, today is special. You asked to have somebody come in and talk about retirement and investing. And I've got somebody here that is so on top of it. I would recommend him to anybody. His name is Perry Jeffries. And let me tell you something about him. When it comes to what I do interest cancellation, helping people to pay off their debt more efficiently. I mean, cheaper, cutting interest costs tremendously so that you can pay off your 30-year mortgage, your with the pill method, the 30-year mortgage, your student loans, your credit cards, your car loans, all in about 7 to 9 years on average, because we're cutting that much interest out. Let me tell you something about what I do and what most financial planners will talk about. They will tell you, and you tell me if you've heard this, why pay off your house when you can take that money and invest it? If you've heard that, put it in the chat, please. Put a number 7 in the chat if you've heard that. Okay, if you've heard that, put a number 7 in the chat. Why pay off your debt when you can take that money and invest that money? Okay, all right. If you've heard it, put a number 7 in the chat. All right. All right. Norma Jean has heard that. Lynette has heard that. And so, folks, here's what I'm telling you. This is what they teach in financial planner school. Richard Tibbs has heard that. This is what they teach in financial planner school. Okay. Carolyn Scott has heard that. Thank you. Thank you very much. So what we're talking about today, folks, is not an either or, but this is a gentleman that understands both. Can I tell you a little story? I probably told this story before, but I'm going to tell it again. Okay. There's a young family here in Huntsville, and they're making a lot more money now than they were making when they first got on my program. But by putting it into the program, how much money they are making now, they'll be able to pay off the last $263,000 of their home in just 3.5 years and only pay $16,000 in interest to do it. Listen, they were elated until I said, you're paying off the home too fast and you're not paying enough interest. The guy says, what do you mean? I thought that was the idea. I said, well, let's tell the program that let's tell the program that you make about $2,000 a month less. Because listen, he's making a lot more now. So we told the program to take $2,000 out of his budget, and then the program recalculated. And it recalculated to, he's going to now pay off his house in 6.5 years, not 3.5. And most people say, well, shoot, 6.5 years, that's still pretty good. All right. So he's going to pay it off in 6.5, not 3.5. And he's going to pay $20,000 in interest on that house instead of $16,000. And he says to me, he says, Don, why is that better? I said, well, the reason why is better because of what you want to do. So it sounds like you still want to pay off your house in 3.5 years. He says, yes, I do. I said, what would you have to do then? He says, I will have to put that $2,000 back into my budget and let the program calculate it. I said, right. So that's for 3.5 years, right? So yes, I said 33 years is 36 months and another 6 months that would add it on. That's 42 months. That's 3.5 years. So that's $2,000 extra a month for 42 months going towards debt reduction. Okay, $2,000 a month for 42 months. That's a total of how much money, everybody? $2,000 a month for 42 months. How much cash is that? Does anybody know? I'm looking at the chat. $2,000 a month for 42 months. $84,000. So that's $84,000 put into debt reduction. Yes, right, Carolyn Scott, 84K put into debt reduction so he can save an additional $4,000. Remember, he was supposed to pay $16,000, but if he took that $2,000 out, he's going to pay $20,000. So why is he putting that in? He's only going to save $4,000 in interest. So I asked him, do you want to spend $84,000 just to save $4,000 in interest? What do you think he said? He said no. So no. So what he decided to do was take that money and invest it not in his current home, because he had enough going to that. That extra money was going to go to his new home that they built, all right? And a new $700,000 home that they built. And by the time that it was through, that house was finished, the house next door to his sold for $900,000. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? And by putting a renter in his current home, they'll be, with the PIL method, they'll be able to pay both off in under 10 years. How about that? Okay, 2 houses in 10 years, because now he is investing his cash somewhere where it could save him a lot more interest and gain him a lot more equity. Do you see what I'm saying? That you have to have a strategy where you can save interest on one hand and make money on the other with the excess cash. And when you have a system that can help you to determine the right the right percentages, what amount of your money should go to debt reduction, what amount of your money should go to wealth creation, Perry Jeffries understands that, because he understands what I do from a practical level, because he has gone through our entire program. So he understands wealth creation, and he understands how to save money on interest using interest cancellation techniques. So let me tell you a little bit about Perry. Perry, why don't we bring his picture up? Perry Jeffries III is the founder of the Facebook online community and podcast Cash Flow Unlock, and is president of Diamond Equity Advisors. Cash Flow Unlocked is a free online community focused on closing the wealth gap by providing training, workshops, and resources to high-income earners and entrepreneurs who are looking to create lifetime passive income. His Wealth Accelerator method has helped hundreds of clients create passive streams of income that has allowed them to replace their earned income by their time, and buy their time back. Buy their time back. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? Perry's firm, Diamond Equity Advisors, is a registered investment advisory firm, brings a non-traditional process of financial planning through providing ongoing financial advice through a retainer-based model. He has 20 years of experience managing and advising clients on personal financial matters, and has managed over $80 million in client assets over his tenure. As a fractional CFO, Perry advises 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs and small businesses in the area of cash management, profitability, mergers and acquisitions, as well as retirement and tax planning. Perry has been directly responsible for increasing his clients' business profits by over 7 figures and counting. How about that? To support the entrepreneur community and improve cash management and profitability, Perry also earned the credential of becoming a mastery level certified profit first professional. Perry's trademark brand is the entrepreneur's CFO. In 2022, Perry was named Marketer of the Year out of 600 profit first professionals across the globe. And listen, when you hear him, you'll see why, what I'm talking about, okay? In addition to his financial credentials, Perry is also a certified John Maxwell speaker and coach in the area of leadership. His clients include Coca-Cola and Amazon. I mean, I get excited about Amazon because Amazon has my book, okay? Perry attended Central Howard High high school in Akron, Ohio. After graduation, he played for coaching legend Bill Van Grundy at Genesee Community College, where he became an all-region awardee and runner-up for Player of the Year in the conference. Perry earned a full Division I athletic scholarship to Tennessee State University, where he completed his formal education, earning a degree in mathematics and a minor in biology. This is one smart cookie. I'm just telling you. When you hear him, you know what I'm talking about. Perry has been featured on Fox 28 Columbus, Ohio, in a segment Financially Fit Fridays with Perry, where he provided entertaining yet thought-provoking content to individuals and businesses on a weekly basis. Over the greater part of the past decade, Perry has been a standing spotlight speaker for the Ohio Society of CPAs, presenting workshops on financial planning and cash flow management. In addition, Perry has taken the national stage as a workshop presenter at the AICPA, that's the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants National Convention. Lastly, Perry earned international exposure on the acclaimed podcast Entrepreneur on Fire, where he taught his masterclass, You're Accidentally Killing Your Company. Perry and his wife, Sarah, and their beautiful twin daughters reside in New Albany, Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring to you Mr. Perry Jeffries. Perry, how are you doing, sir?
Hey, what's happening? Everybody hear me okay?
Yes, man, we hear you great.
Man, I'm over here just so tickled hearing you read the bio. I was like, oh, he didn't have to read the whole thing. I thought you was going to cut it short.
Oh, listen, man, I tried. I tried. The more I got into it, I said, I can't leave that out. I can't leave that out. Listen, the people need to know, Perry. The people need to know.
I appreciate that so much. And it's definitely an honor having you read my bio, because you know how much I appreciate you and what you do with the pill method and your passion for helping people. So to have you read that bio, and I kind of see you as, you know, one of my mentors, just means the world to me. So thank you for that. I truly, truly appreciate it.
All right, man, listen, we're going to start with questions. Listen, folks, if you have questions, now I told you a little story about killing interest, getting out of debt, and understanding the importance of investing early. Okay, so Perry, let me lead things off. All right, and just talk to us about the idea of investing early, and some people may be investing late. So let's start off with something like that. Just kind of lead in for us, okay?
Yeah. So great question. So you have those individuals who, you know, maybe started investing early on, and those who kind of like, you know, a lot of our clients who are entrepreneurs maybe put everything into the business, and now they're just now starting to have the cash flow to be able to invest at, 40, 50 years of age, right? I would say this around investing, y'all. Yes, the idea of having time on your side is super important, right? The earlier you start, the less you have to put away, and you now give that money time to accumulate. But I want you to kind of really let this resonate with you all, right? Investing is like a customized suit. And this is where we hear, certain strategies that float around and say, hey, you should do this, or hey, you should do that. Your investment strategy should fit you, just like a customized suit. Okay. So if you haven't started investing, don't feel bad. Still seek guidance and help. If you've been investing, still seek guidance and help. But really what it comes down to is where you are. A lot of folks, especially when we look at our community, because one of the stats I throw out there to really bring home why it's so important for us to have these conversations, it is projected by the year 2053 that the median Black wealth for Black Americans is going to be zero. So let me say that again. Median wealth by the year 2053 for Black America is projected to be zero, right? So whether you're starting off early or late, you have to start really understanding some financial principles, right? So I think that's a great segue, Mr. Daniel, into kind of how I define wealth, because typically people are looking to invest because they want to become wealthy, right? For those who are listening to this, type wealth in the chat just so I know that you're still alive and you're not, my voice isn't putting you to sleep. So if you want to acquire wealth, if you want to be wealthy, raise your hand by typing wealth in the chat. Let me see if anybody pops in here. I was going to give it a try and see if anybody was going to give us a shout out. Anybody on here want to be wealthy? We'll give it another second or so, then I'm gonna jump into my deal. There we go. Woo! Okay, they got me feeling good, baby. All right, so here's the deal. Yep, let's roll. Wealth, 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 wealth. Perfect. So let's get our heads wrapped around this, y'all. I'm sure everybody on these trainings and on this, on this series has the desire to be wealthy. But let me ask this question: who can give a concise definition of what wealth is? Who can say, oh, wealth is this? I've asked that question in rooms of, one or two people, but husband and wives and spouses. I've asked this question in front of hundreds. I've asked this question in front of thousands. And when I ask this question, it's going to be, if I ask 100 people, it's probably going to be 100 different answers. Well, here's the deal, y'all. If we don't have an agreement or alignment on what the definition of wealth is, then there's no way that we can reach it in our families, let alone in our communities, let alone in our country, right? So let's kind of get level set that way, and we'll get the conversation going from that piece, right? So I see wealth here is the management of assets, sustainable income. This is awesome. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Indy, right? So, wealth, sometimes people say, hey, wealth is I have no debt, right? Well, let me give you guys a definition that we've created after 20 years of doing this thing, that it aligns with 100% of our clients, and it gets all of us on the same page. Our definition of wealth is as follows. Wealth is the accumulation of assets, pause, which can be converted into passive income, pause, so that it can cover your lifestyle expenses. Let me say that again. Wealth is the accumulation of assets. Now, I didn't say stocks. I didn't say bonds. I didn't say mutual funds. I said assets. That could be real estate. That could, your primary asset may be your business. It may be stocks. It may be a 401k. We didn't say what it had to be, but you have to get your mind wrapped around that you have to accumulate assets. So that's number one. So how are you going about accumulating assets? Two, that can be converted into passive income. If that asset cannot turn into cash flow, then you may want to rethink whether or not you're accumulating the right assets. So it may not provide cash flow today, but does it have the ability to convert into income, cash flow in the future, right? For the third piece, in order to cover your lifestyle expense. So that's what wealth is, right? So how I go about accumulating my wealth may be totally different than how Mr. Daniel goes about accumulating his wealth, right? But the end goal, accumulate assets that can be converted into passive income in order to cover your lifestyle expense. That's it. So then the question comes down to, well, how do you measure that, right? How do you measure that definition? Because let's keep it 100 with each other tonight, right? If any goal that is not measurable and that you don't measure, you will not attain. It's just no way of getting around it. You have to know these numbers, right? So if you have a goal, you have to be able to measure it. So how do you measure if you're wealthy or not? If I can jump off of this screen and jump back on this screen, how did I go from not being wealthy to being wealthy? How do you know when you've crossed that path, right? How do you know when you've crossed that line? Somebody may be like, well, Perry, man, I don't know. It's many versions of wealth, right? Somebody put that in there, right? Well, here's the deal. What if I told you wealth is not a destination? Wealth is a journey. And let me ask more clarity to that. How do we measure wealth with our clients? With our watches. Wealth is measured in time. So get your pen and paper ready for this one, y'all. Wealth is measured in time. So let me ask you this question here. And if you want to share your number, feel free to share. If you don't, it's all good. But wealth is measured in time. So when I say measured in time, I mean this. If you were to stop doing whatever you're doing right now to make money, I don't care if you're a doctor, a janitor, a school teacher, a hustler, a real estate investor. I don't care what you're doing, but anything that you're doing to earn money today, if you were to stop doing that today, how long could you maintain your quality of life, your current lifestyle? Could you do it for a year? Could you do it for 3 months? Could you do it for 10 years? Right? That's the measurement of wealth. So here's the deal, y'all. Everybody who can hear my voice, understand this. You have wealth right now. Just how much wealth do you have? Right? Somebody inevitably is going to say, man, P, I got about 24 hours worth of wealth. If that direct deposit don't hit today, it's a wrap. I can't pay no bills. And that's fine, right? That's where you're starting today, right? But the goal is to add more time to your wealth number. So don't be bamboozled or fooled or, led astray. So I'm on my Malcolm X movie right now. But don't feel like, oh my gosh, he got the big house and the big car. Because guess what? If that person, that high income earner, stop working today, how long would they be to maintain that lifestyle? We get caught up in thinking wealth is what you're driving and your crib and all of that. So now let's recalibrate. And then I'm going to have a request here for you. What's our definition of wealth? And even if you don't adopt my definition of wealth today, at least adopt it for our conversation because it's going to lead everything else. So wealth is the accumulation of assets, which can be converted to passive income in order to cover your lifestyle expense. And wealth is measured in time. You should be able to go to Thanksgiving dinner here. I know Patrice is going to come on here later and, give y'all some advice on what not to bring and what to bring to Thanksgiving dinner. But I got some advice too. Thanksgiving dinner, walk in and hit them with this. Hey, y'all, how do y'all define wealth? And see how many different answers you get. Then ask this question. How do you measure wealth? And then hit them with this one. Hey, I was on this call and this dude with these crazy white glasses and a vest on said that wealth is measured in time. If you stop working today, how long could you maintain your quality of life? And watch folks be like, they start calculating. We're like, shoot, wait, them bills is hitting, man. I got about, 2 weeks, right? If we can all get alignment in that area, now we can actually start to close the wealth gap, because it is going to be impossible to close this wealth gap. If you think about it like this, if we think about wealth as being the journey, right? And with that being said, well, if you go on a journey, you may have to put in your GPS, right? You put in your GPS. So if my journey is taking me out east, right, to the, to a certain area, and yours is going southwest, and somebody else is going, north or whatever the case may be, we're going different places. We'll never be able to close this wealth gap. And the scary thing about it here, Mr. Daniel, you keep it just 100 with the crowd today. It starts with your household. How you and your spouse talk about creating wealth, and y'all don't even have alignment or agreement on what wealth is. But don't give me a story, because now I'll start going into my money story. So with that being said, I'm going to say this is my request. They asked me before I got on here, hey, Perry, do you have a presentation or something of that sort? I prefer not to do presentations. Why? Because I was once a college student. And when I was a college student, I despised when folks would come in with PowerPoint presentations talking about stuff I did not care anything about, right? So when I take time on my day to present, and again, I've done this with hundreds and thousands of folks, I like questions. You're taking time out of your day. It is literally, I get this started at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I rushed here from my daughter's basketball game to, to spend time with y'all tonight. So to make this valuable for you, I could go on and ramble and rant and, and throw some stuff out there and get a couple of hand claps and an amen. And that's cool. But you're taking time out your day to get something answered. Please ask those questions in the chat and fire away, right? If there's questions in the chat, I'm going to answer those questions. If not, if I don't have an answer to those questions, we're going to show you where to get those answers. And I got myself teed up over here. So we need to jump on Google and figure it out together. We can do it. So please, 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 you're spending time out of your day. You jumped on here with a spirit of expectation. With that same spirit of expectation, you need to walk away with something. Yeah, you're going to walk away with my definition. You're going to walk away how I measure it. But I want you to be able to walk away with something tangible, to be like, man, I was on this call at 8:30 at night, depending on where you are in the country, we're Eastern Standard. And man, I had this burning question and I finally got the answer. So please, 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 so that I just don't go on rants, type those questions in the chat, and we will get to as many as we can. I'll pause. All right, Mr. Danny, what you got?
All right, Patrice, you had somebody who wrote out a question last week and sent it in to you. So why don't we start with that question first, Patrice, and while
Okay.
so that other people can prepare their questions and put them in the chat. So Patrice, go ahead and ask that question for us, please.
Okay, so we're going to fire away with this first question. And it's right here. And this is from Desmond, Demond 611. Here's the question. And he says he's asking a question for my mom, Yvette. I'm not going to say her last name, but he's asking a question for her. And the question is, she says, I retired from a bank in 2009 and didn't want to leave my retirement funds there. So I rolled my money over into an insurance type annuity, not wanting to incur penalties. I would like to know, if I move my money now, what vehicle can I move it into? Can all the money be rolled over, or should it be kept in the annuity since I am so close to retiring? I will be retiring in the next 2 years.
Got it. So this is a great question. And let me tell you fundamentally what should have happened first. You and let me rephrase it this way. So this is collectively across the board, y'all. If you don't know why you're going into an investment, you should not go into it until you have crystal clarity of why you're going into an investment. So you went from your retirement at the bank and you rolled that over into an annuity. More than likely, that annuity was an IRA annuity. So it was an IRA with an annuity being the funding system inside of that. So when you made that move, you did not incur any, penalties or taxes and things of that nature, because you went from one retirement account to another retirement account. Now, here's the deal with annuities. I love annuities, but I also have a love-hate relationship with them. I love what a lot of the annuities can provide to clients. I despise how it's sold to the clients, because the deal is, if you just got this annuity, that annuity more than likely has a 5, 7, or 10-year surrender charge, which means when you got into that annuity, you made a commitment to that insurance company. So an annuity, y'all, just for definition purposes, is a contract with an insurance company to receive some type of benefit. So you made a commitment to that insurance company that I'm going to keep the money here for 5, 7, or 10 years. So if you're within that surrender period, so let's say that you're on a 10-year surrender and you decide, ooh, I don't like this annuity, I want to move to something else, you could move to another IRA account, but more than likely you're going to get hit with surrender charges trying to get out that annuity, right? So now you have to weigh the pros and cons. Do you dislike this annuity so much, or was it not the best fit for you in the first place that now you're going to have to pay penalties to get out? And that's where we're going to do a hard pause and level set again. People come to me all the time and say, man, I heard you a great financial advisor, blah, blah, blah. I got some money to invest. And I turn them away. One year I turned away close to $2 million of people trying to invest with me. And they're like, well, P, why would you turn that away? Because I have a rule, and I wish and hope and pray that more advisors would adopt this rule. I would not invest a dime of nobody's money until they first invest in a full-blown holistic financial plan that actually addresses 6 components. And I'm gonna get back to the annuity question here in a second, because I'm not seeing any questions pop up here on the chat. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do my thing. So please ask some questions here. So here's the deal. I won't invest a dime of anybody's money until they have a financial plan, and your financial plan should address 6 components. It should address your cash flow. It should address your insurance and your risk. It should address your retirement planning. And we don't like saying retirement planning around my way. We like work optional planning, because when people say retirement, they think they got to work till 62, 65, or when that Social Security kick in. We don't believe in that. We believe in, if you have enough passive income coming in to cover your lifestyle expense, you can retire when you want to. If you got that done at 40, be done at 40. So I don't like retirement planning, but for the sake of the conversation, we'll say it, right? So you got that piece, and then you have investing. So on the investing side, we don't believe in investing a dime of that money, because you need to know a couple things before you invest. You need to know 2 things. What is required of you? How much do you need to invest to reach your goal? And what is the rate of return that you need to get on those dollars? Because here's the deal. Every investment ain't good for everybody. If you're a great saver and close to your number, you may only need a 3% return on your money. Or if you're behind and you need to be more aggressive, you might need a 15% return on your money. Well, if you're trying to get 15% and you only need 3, you're taking on undue risk unnecessarily. So you need to know these numbers, right? The other component of the financial plan is your tax, ramification. We call it tax optimization. Most advisors won't touch taxes or discuss them, which is so unfortunate, because your tax bill is the largest bill you pay. What other bill do you pay that's 10, 15, 20, 30% of your income other than your tax bill? So why are we not talking about taxes, right? So that's why we started our own firm and moved out to corporate structure, so we could speak to what's really important to our clients. So tax optimization is number 5, and number 6 is your estate planning. So let's now go back to this annuity conversation. If you weren't crystal clear on why you were purchasing this annuity and making this commitment, then you may be in the wrong product. But I've seen this a lot too. You may not understand the product. So first thing we need to do is, before you get out of it, is circle back to the agent who sold it to you, or call the annuity company yourself and say, hey, what does this annuity do for me? So one reason, we like annuities, and in full disclaimer here, full disclosure, there are different kinds of annuities. Okay. There's fixed annuities, there's variable annuities, there's fixed index annuities, there's immediate annuities. So when we say annuity, we're not using just blanket annuity, right? There's a bunch of different kinds of annuities, okay? But one of the aspects that we like about annuities is that typically they're going to give protection of principal. So we like protection of principal. And a lot of the annuities, depending on how it's built and the company that's offering, may offer some guaranteed income. We personally like guaranteed income annuities. Why do we like guaranteed income annuities? Y'all know the answer. I just gave it to y'all. Accumulate assets that can be turned into passive income in order to cover your lifestyle expense. So if I have a product that's going to give me a guaranteed income stream for the rest of my life, I just create a passive income. So we like to, when we have conversations with our clients around annuities, we speak to annuities as your private pension plan. Right? Because guess what? A lot of us ain't going to retire with no pension. Some of us may not even retire with a whole bunch of Social Security. But if you accumulate assets and then know how to convert those into passive income, an annuity may or may not be a good fit. So there's a lot of different moving parts to this piece, right? 1, why did you get your annuity? 2, what's the surrender charges on it? 3, do you understand the bells and whistles of the annuities, because they all work completely different, right? And 4, was that shouldn't even been part of your financial plan? So I apologize if somebody, what it sounds like, sold you a product and didn't explain to you what the product is, because you may actually be sitting on a guaranteed income stream that you may actually need down the road, but we're talking about getting out of it because we may not understand how it works. So again, we don't move past go. I don't care how much money you have. We're not investing nan a dime, nan a penny, unless you have a full-blown financial plan, because your financial plan should be the one making the recommendations on where you put your money. Okay, I hope I answered that question.
Wow. All right. So we had another question, Patrice. So you had a question, I believe. Oh, do you want to go to this one now? Okay, let's go to this one now. This is in the chat. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about the FIRE movement?
So here's the deal. I like it in this sense, and I'm about to pull it up right here because everybody might not be familiar with the FIRE movement. So let me pull it up here so we can see it. Okay, what is the FIRE movement? I'm gonna share my screen here real quick. Financial independence, retire early. Okay. So what is the financial independence, retire early, right? So this is some framework around how you can retire early, right? So saving aggressively, investing wisely, optimizing taxes, tax harvesting, right? So what I like about this is that it's a framework that someone can follow, but who also has different frameworks out there. You have Dave Ramsey, who has his framework. You have Susie Orman, who has her framework. So the issues with having, these frameworks is that typically there's no customized advice. So when you have a movement like the FIRE movement, when you have a Dave Ramsey with his 7 baby steps, whatever the deal he does, you have Susie Orman, they are speaking to hundreds of thousands of millions of people. So they cannot speak to the nuances of everybody's situation. Okay. So with that being said, they're kind of painting financial, freedom with a broad brush. But all of us have different needs. All of us are starting in different places. So I like framework for something easy to follow, but that framework still needs to be accompanied with someone who can give you customized advice. So that's my thoughts on the whole FIRE piece. Okay.
All right. Let me see here. So we've got another question in here. This is from Norma Jean. I want to get real estate, and I want to consolidate debts. However, should I not start investments until I get out of debt, or doing better financially by investing with the pill method, which will guide? When she was talking about guide her in getting out of debt. So you can speak to that. You can definitely speak to that.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Let's talk about it real quick, y'all. So this is my personal philosophy on it, and this may differ from the other 10 advisors that you talk to. When we look at debt, right, versus when we should invest, typically what we'll do is run that debt through a screening to see which debt is most toxic, which debt is kind of like, we want to get rid of it, and then other debt that we kind of call freedom debt. Okay. And the reason we run it through this screen is that if it's a freedom debt, then hey, if we got monies to invest, why not invest those dollars? If it's a toxic debt that is jamming up your cash flow and doesn't make sense, we may move towards, hey, let's pay that off first. But let me insert something that wasn't brought up in that question. We ain't investing nothing unless you got an emergency fund, right? Unless you have an emergency vehicle, either a HELOC, you know what I'm saying? I learned that from you, Mr. Daniel, or, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know what I'm saying, 3 to 6 months of your expenses set aside. We're not investing past go till we have that. So the first thing we do is we need to sprint to having a cushion, because where a lot of people go wrong, whether they have debt, high expenses, and things of that nature, is they start investing without no emergency fund. And then when the emergency comes up, they got to now go into the investment and cash out and possibly sell that investment at a loss. So that's never a good look. Now, let's connect the dots here. And I don't know how much y'all have got into the pill method with Mr. Daniel here, but where this has just been my saving grace and allowed me to really, really create this wealth accelerator program was simply this, right? When I started using the pill method and hired Mr. Daniel to be my coach and walk me through the whole software and things of that nature, I was able to use debt to create wealth. Well, Perry, what do you mean use debt to create wealth, right? So this is so crazy. Literally, we were buying a house right around the time that we were meeting Mr. Daniel, right? So we was looking for a house, boom, boom, boom. And our housing market was nuts over here, just absolutely bananas. We had to bring so much money down. I didn't want to talk to it. Just know it was 6 figures, and I had a comment in it, and I wasn't the happiest camper about it. But by using the pill method and the strategy on how'd you work that, Mr. Daniel, put my notes here. You know, I always take notes when I'm talking to you. The interest cancellation program, paying off debt fast. You better say something. You better stop playing with me today. You know what I'm saying? Don't have me up at 8:30 at night. I go on tangents. But here's the deal. In using that program, I wasn't in my property a year and already got $100,000 line of credit, right? So because of how quickly I was attacking the principle, using the strategy, which the pill method was telling me, hey, pay this off first, pay this here, make this amount of payment here, make this amount of payment here, I'm able to do all of the above. And guess what? I'm a financial advisor. I got debt. I almost got, you know what I'm saying? I got $1 million home, you know what I'm saying, with $600,000 debt on it, $700,000 debt on it. But guess what? I still invest. So I'm not of the frame, going back to your initial question, I'm not of the frame of mind that you have to be debt-free to invest. You're losing opportunity costs by doing that. Now, what you want to do is manage your debt, whether you're using a pill method or you're using this spreadsheet here, but whatever the case may be, you want to be able to manage your debt and invest at the same time, or not be afraid of debt, because you can actually use debt to accelerate your wealth accumulation, right? So I'll put a pause in that, and because I want to get into the wealth accumulation, but I'm gonna pull out accumulation and insert the word wealth acceleration. But we're gonna stay right there for a second. Any other questions? What else we got? I see some questions on there. Yeah.
Wow.
Let's get them going.
Okay, Patrice, what's the next one? This is getting good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's the crypto
All right,
question.
let's talk about cryptocurrency. So if you look at our firm, Diamond Equity Advisors, in full disclosure, we are one of the handful of firms that are actually certified in digital currency investing. So I'm glad you asked the question, because we're one of the few firms that actually do this the right way. So here's the deal. Crypto is a non-correlated asset to anything. It doesn't move with the stock market. It doesn't move with the real estate market. It doesn't move with none of the above. So crypto can be considered, quote unquote, a risky investment. But let me let y'all in on a secret. I'm sure nobody listening to this. It's just us on here, right? All right. Let me let y'all in on a secret. In a holistic financial plan, we recommend that if you want to invest in crypto, that you invest no more than 5% of your liquid assets. Okay. So if you got $100 liquid assets, you can invest 5 into crypto. Why do we say that? Because part of your holistic financial plan, what cryptocurrency does, it actually reduces the risk of your overall portfolio. Counterintuitive, kind of like the pill method, right? You know what I'm saying? And when I say counterintuitive, I counterintuitive in this sense. You decrease risk in your portfolio by having non-correlated assets, precious metals, some stocks, some bonds, some crypto. But where people go wrong with this is when it was heavy on social media and everybody's losing their minds. Oh man, cats was taking out loans and mortgages in their home to invest in crypto, everything they had, and then boom, it blew up. And you had cryptocurrencies, those meme cryptocurrencies that really wasn't nothing, the little Doge dog and all that type of craziness like going on, right? And cats lost a lot of money, right? So here's the deal. If you're only investing 5% of your liquid assets in your portfolio into crypto, if that 5% goes to zero, your financial plan doesn't blow up. But if you have a great crypto coin or whatever the case may be, and it grows by 64, you know what I'm saying, 64,000%, you just added that additional value to your portfolio. But guess what it comes down to out the gate? We don't move past gold without a financial plan. So Cash like, hey, P, what's a good crypto? I don't know what a good crypto is for you because you ain't did no financial plan, and we don't move past gold without a financial plan. But great question.
Wow. Okay.
Now, we got another one in there. I see one about Roth. Let's talk about that one.
Go ahead, man. Do your thing.
Is Roth a good way to invest, and how to go about investing in a Roth IRA? Okay, so let's add some clarity here because I've seen this over 20 years. A Roth IRA is not an investment. Let me say that again. A Roth IRA is not an investment. The same way a traditional IRA is not an investment. Those are just accounts where you choose the kind of investment you want to go into it. So if I was to draw a house, all a Roth IRA is a house. You still have to choose the furniture. A traditional IRA is just a house. You still have to choose the furniture. But the reason they're different is because they have different tax ramifications. Okay. So Roth is, hey, I put money into the Roth, whether it's Roth IRA or Roth 401k, and I put money in post-tax dollars. So this is money I already paid taxes on. And then when I go to pull that money out down the road, it comes out tax-free. Well, based on your financial plan, because again, every question y'all ask me, I'm always going to go back to, well, what did your financial plan say do? Well, I ain't got one. Well, I really can't give you a really good answer. But since you asked the question, here's the deal. With that Roth, do you need to be looking at tax-free income in the future? Which leads to this question right here. Do you believe taxes are going to be higher or lower when it's time for you to access your retirement dollars? Well, if you think they're going to be higher, would it not make sense to pay taxes at the lowest interest rate now versus the highest interest rate in the future? But again, it comes down to your financial plan, because it's not a right or wrong. It's not an either or. It's like the conversation I hear, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to say clowns, but I'm not going to talk about nobody tonight. But it's the same conversation I hear when I hear people arguing about term is better than whole life. And whole life is, they're not even the same. They're not even the same deal. They may be at the same plate, but one is a spoon and one is a fork. So are you eating steak or are you eating soup? It's not that one is better or worse. What are you using it for? right? The same way with the Roth. So do we like Roth? If you need tax-free income in the future and you want to have some of your retirement dollars, growing tax deferred, yeah, it makes sense. But understand something, a Roth by itself don't make money. You still have to pick investments for that. You still have to pick a mutual fund, a stock, or going back to the person who had the first question, I just did this for my wife. I just threw money, about $50,000 from my wife's Roth IRA into a Roth IRA annuity, and went and told her in the kitchen, said, hey, babe, I just did this money movement for you. If something should happen to me, I can see where you're projected to have $50,000 guaranteed tax-free income when you go to retire. So just be able to make it, to that age, right? So is it good or bad? Who knows? It's based on your financial plan, but you need to understand the product and how it could fit in. Really good question.
All right, man. Listen, what's the next question? I mean, that is so good stuff. All right, here we go.
Got it. Okay. I like this one right here. Okay, we jamming over here now. What do we think of dividend-paying stocks as a passive income vehicle versus stock appreciation? Great question. This is the equivalent to asking me this, Perry, from a real estate standpoint, should I buy and flip or should I buy and rent? It's the exact same question. What do you need today? Do you need cash flow today? Well, then you go with dividend stocks, or you go with a rental and you go with a rental property. Do you don't need the cash today, but you want to put it someplace with the opportunity to grow and appreciate so you can sell it later on and put it in something different? Then you go with the flip. You go with the stock appreciation. It's not that one is better or worse. It's what do you need right now? So if you're like, yo, I got, like, let's keep it 100. If we go and look at dividend stocks, there are going to be some dividend stocks out there with crazy dividend rates, right? Paying like 15, 20% dividend. But if you go and Google dividend aristocrats, you're going to get a list of stocks. And to be on the dividend aristocrat piece, I believe it's 50 years, 25, 50 years. Let's look it up real quick, just so we're speaking and make sure we're sharing the right information here with you. Let's look up dividend aristocrats. In order to be considered a dividend aristocrat, you have to have had, let's pull it up here. Because guess what? I can't remember everything. I just know what questions to ask. So I use Google and AI like it's my job. All right, let's pull that up here real quick. Share that screen here with us. Great. In order for something to be considered a dividend aristocrat, it has to, investors likely, a group of 68 stocks in the S&P 500 with 25 plus years, consecutive years of dividend increases. This is the cream of the crop. But unfortunately, this cream of the crop, maybe not paying a whole lot of interest, right? You know what I'm saying? So when you look at it, you're going to find some different ones in here, dividends. So these are just top dividends. These aren't part of the dividend aristocrat list. When I show you that list, it's going to be names that you know. So let me see if I can pull up a list. Boom, 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 boom. List. Dividend aristocrats. Let's pull up 7 dividend aristocrats. Dividend aristocrat list. How to use. Let's see if I can find one real quick. Okay. Okay. All right. Dividend aristocrats, right? Colgate, Coca-Cola, Hormel Foods, Pepsi, Procter & Gamble, your industrials in here, 3M, healthcare, right? You got Abbott Laboratories, Consumer Discretionary, Mickey D's, Target. Y'all know y'all love that Target. The financials, right? You know what I'm saying? You got T. Rowe Price, you got Chubb, you got Materials, Chevron. So when you look at these, real talk, they're maybe paying, let's see what this is paying today. Might be paying 7%, something along those lines. So it's not like it's paying a whole lot. So think about this for a second. If you had $100,000 to invest and you want to go buy one of these stocks, right, that's paying a 7% yield, on that $100,000, you're making $7,000 a year, which is good passive income, right? But that $7,000 a year actually equates to $583 a month. So that might cover your utilities or something along those lines. So we love that. We love dividend stocks as a passive income vehicle, right? But do you need to be doing that now, or do you need to be growing it more? So do you need to be looking more at growth scenarios to grow that asset and then convert it to dividend stocks down the road? So again, it kind of depends on your financial plan, but we love dividend stocks. But here's the best way to look at it. Stocks is just equity, just like real estate is just like equity. Hey, do you want income now? Go get your rental property, i.e. dividend stock. Hey, I don't need the income now, but I'm gonna buy this, property in an area that I know is appreciating, and then I'm gonna sell it for a couple $100,000, then buy you a stock that's appreciating. So it just depends on how it fits into your personal financial plan. One isn't better than the other one. It's just what you need.
Listen, I'm learning so much. I've never even heard the term dividend aristocrat until tonight. I'm just telling you, this is some awesome information. And listen, I pulled up a list here, man. Dividend aristocrats. I got a whole list of it right here. So listen, I got to get Patrice in here. Give us a little break. Get a drink of water, Patrice. Can you go ahead and talk about some of the upcoming programs on Living Manna and your other program? Can you talk about what's coming up? Patrice, are you there?
Did we lose Patrice?
I don't know. I think she's here. She just.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. So this is what I want to do right now and give you guys a break for a minute. First of all, I need to see some fire emojis in the comments. I need to see those diamond-shaped gems in the comments because I'm sitting here. I've got sticky notes. Listen, my whole financial situation has changed in a matter of less than an hour. I was saying, I got to call Perry after the show's over. I can't call Perry until, first of all, I have a financial plan. So that pumped the brakes for me right then and there. But I will say this. Those of you who are here right now watching this live on Power of the Lamb, YouTube, and Facebook, please, this is what Living Manna Church is about. The holistic approach of our faith, how we are to have responsibility, not just in what we do spiritually for the Lord, but how we handle the resources and the blessings that he gives us through those. And the more we handle our resources properly, the freer we are to give to the work and for the finishing of the work. So for those of you who've been enjoying this, please make sure you share this link. We're probably going to be here for another 30 minutes, maybe to an hour. Hey, depends on what Perry's doing. I got nothing but time, and I got a whole lot of sticky notes. So I can be here as long as they need to be here. But right now, I want to let you guys know exactly how you can stay up on what we're doing here at Living Manna Church. If you get the text alerts, and I'm going to put this up here right now, and you got a text alert 5 minutes before this program has begun, and you want to be part of it, please let the people know these text alerts work. Please text LMOC to the numbers 84576, and you will be up on real-time alerts as to the programs that we have coming up here at Living Manna Church. These past 6 weeks of Money Answers All Things has been absolutely phenomenal. And so we would love for Don to come back at another time to continue it. This is supposed to be 8 weeks, so we have 2 more weeks left. I'm trying to see if I can push him to give us another extra 2 weeks to take us to the end of the year. I don't know, but prayers can be appreciated on that behalf. But anyway, please make sure you text LMOC to the numbers 84576 and know what is going on here at Living Manna Church. We want to thank you so much for being here. And once again, please share the link. And I'm going to take you back to Don Daniel and Perry as we're talking about what's happening with your finance and investments.
Wow. Listen, I see what you got going on there. We got the wrong graphic. There we go. All right. Listen, man. Perry, listen, we got fire emojis. We got amazing. We got all kinds of stuff going on in the chat. Listen, man, you are on fire tonight. People thought I had energy, but my goodness, man, you make me act like I'm falling asleep. With the kind of energy that I put out, man.
Mr. Daniel, I told you I don't do presentations. Bring your questions.
Okay. All right. So listen, Patrice, let's keep this thing rolling. Let's try to get as many of these questions in as we can. What's our next question?
All right, let's see here. Is it advisable to get a mortgage when you're 2 years from retirement therefore on a fixed income. Woo! So this is going to come down to your cash flow, right? So again, we know that we now understand that retirement or being work optional is, do you have enough passive income to come in and cover your cash flow? So if taking on and bringing on that additional mortgage, if that puts a ding in your cash flow, because the truth is always going to be in the numbers, right? The truth is always in the numbers. If you bring on this new mortgage and that adds $2,000 a month of debt service and that now eats into your cash flow, then maybe it's not a good look. I literally have a client right now in New York City situation where they want to retire, where they thought they was going to be able to sell one of their properties. It's not going to be sold. So they're short about $1 million on their, portfolio, what they thought they was going to have. And now they're making this move down to, down south, and they're building a home, almost $1 million home. And I advised them, I said, building this home is a bad look because you're going to bring on this debt. You're about to be on a fixed income with Social Security and pensions and things of that nature. And now you just brought on this debt service, which is going to impact your quality of life. I would actually prefer that you rent than actually do this. But I know you want to get this home for your wife. So let's do that. But as soon as he gets his home, I'm going to be circling back to Mr. Daniel and say we need to get them on the pill method so that we can get this bad boy paid off real quick with the cash flow that we have, because they're going to need it, because every dollar is going to have to be employed here. Every dollar is going to have a job, and we need to get that thing paid down, because even if we can get it paid down, significantly in the early years, right? If we need to, we can always tap a HELOC to give them another, access to more cash. So really what it comes down to, advisable to get a mortgage? I don't know. I don't know your cash situation. So what you want to really think about is, hey, if I bring on this mortgage, how much, what is that expense looking like on my monthly cash flow? And if that's not, and if bringing on that mortgage is a bad look for your cash flow, then you got to make a hard decision. Is it worth me going without that money that was going to be net in my pocket for this new mortgage and that I'm gonna have to take in 2 years? So really it comes down to your planning, and your planning for retirement. And we're going to take that word out. Your financial freedom planning, your work optional planning is all about cash flow. So literally when we work with clients and we're helping them, hey, make a decision. Should I do this? Should I do that? We plug it in and say, okay, doing this affects your cash flow this way. Do you want to do this or not? Because I tell folks out the gate, my job ain't never to tell you what you can't do. My job is for you to tell me what you want to do, and for me to tell you, well, if you want to do that, then you got to do this. And if you don't want to do that, then you might want to, take a different action. So I can't really answer that question because I don't know the situation, but that's where I would start. If you were my client, okay, let's look at your cash flow. Taking on this additional debt, bringing on this mortgage, how does it impact your cash flow 2 years out?
Hey, Perry, you mentioned HELOC a couple of times. Break that down for what is a HELOC?
Home equity line of credit, right? So, ooh, man, sometimes I think we just be on the same vibe. We be on the same vibe. So let's do a quick, not a commercial here, but let me share with something that a framework that I built. So I know you got the FIRE framework and you got this other framework. I created something called WHAM. I'm just going to go with it. Wealth Accelerator method. If we find out it's copywriting, we can't use it, we'll switch it up. But nonetheless, this is how it works. Okay. We're going with it until somebody like, nope, you can't use that. Okay. So with the Wealth Accelerator method, when I'm dealing with our people, right, collectively, whether you're white, black, Asian, Hispanic, I don't care, but if you're coming from a situation where you did not inherit wealth, right, somebody did not pass down to $1 million insurance policy or $1 million home or $100,000 home, and you're literally first generation trying to create wealth on your own and trying to figure this thing out, you have to understand with the cost of goods and inflation, you have to speed up this wealth accumulation process. So what we created was the Wealth Accelerator method. It has 3 pillars to it. And I'm gonna go back to the HELOC question in here in a second. The 3 pillars of this. Pillar number 1, cash flow management. Every dollar has to have a job. You have to manage your debt strategically, and you have to get the absolute best interest rate on your cash while it's sitting in cash. So that's it, right? I can go a whole hour just on that, but I'm going to get through the pillars. So that's pillar 1. It's 3 pillars. The second pillar, stay with me here, systematic leveraged investing. Well, P, what does that mean? Systematic something that's going on a continuous basis, typically going to be automatic, right? So what is the 1, 2, no more than 3, but I like 1 or 2 assets that we're going to pump the most money into? Is it the 401k? Is it the cash flow insurance policy? Is it real estate? Your asset is your asset. Is it your money market account? Whatever that asset is for you, right? Because everybody's different. But we want to pump money into that asset. Why? Because at some point in time, the wealth cheat code that don't nobody talk about is leverage, right? You grow an asset not to sell it, but to be able to use that as collateral to borrow somebody else's money to go buy assets that cash flow. So let's circle back to the HELOC, right? Oh, hold on. Let me get through the third pillar and we'll go back to the HELOC. The third pillar of the WAM is your scoreboard and your tracking. Again, how we creating generational wealth when we don't have alignment on what wealth is, right? And we're not talking about passive income. We shouldn't even be talking about generational wealth and we ain't talking about passive income, because you got to free your time up. You got to buy your time back. And the deal is, I'm not expecting you to go and buy your time back today, right? Literally, when we talk about tracking, we actually have a passive income worksheet where we have people go in. And don't give me like fake numbers. Hey, how much is your monthly expenses? Well, I think it's $2. No, the pill method, I know exactly what my monthly expenses are. I can leverage another resource, a budget resource, and know, hey, these are my monthly expenses and they're categorized. Housing, entertainment, groceries, eating out, utilities. We start creating passive income to knock out one at a time. Hey, let's create enough passive income. Your utilities is $150 a month. Where can we go get $150 a month passively to knock out utilities? You just freed you just gave yourself some freedom, some financial freedom. You no longer have to pay utilities. Okay, now let's knock out the car note. You need $500 for your car note. Okay, where can we go? Now let's knock that down. Okay, now let's go knock that down till you build up to the point where all of your lifestyle expenses are covered. But you got to track it. It ain't just throwing stuff up on the wall and hoping it sticks. So let's go back to the HELOC. Right? Because that's the question you have, but I had to give some context. HELOC, I have this asset. We have my home that I'm in right now that my office lives in. Okay. So I have this asset that I put money into. I told y'all the down payment was atrocious. I put money into it. I'm following my pill method and I'm making those strategic money movements to, hold on, look, my interest cancellation program, right? So I'm pumping money into it. But guess what? As I'm pumping money into it, it's appreciating. And I've been here less than a year and the bank gave me a $100,000 HELOC, home equity line of credit. So I now got this HELOC sitting here on the side. I'm still following my number one pillar, cash management, strategically managing debt, getting right. So I now have a HELOC. You know what I'm doing with this HELOC? I ain't looking to go refinance my debt. Ain't that right, Mr. Daniel? I'm looking for an asset that's going to give me cash flow. Because if I can acquire an asset with that $100,000 to give me cash flow, then I can use that cash flow to don't get me started. So I like the HELOC because it follows our system. But the deal is, it's like with anything. Are you using the HELOC correctly? Right?
Listen, folks. What he just went over is just so crucial. I see all the time people take the HELOC to pay off other debt. He's talking about taking that money and investing it in a cash flowing asset. Lose that money to make money. Never use that money to pay off. It's a losing proposition. It's something that is taught. It's something that people do a lot. It's something that it is even encouraged by gurus and bankers. But listen, it is a losing proposition. You're taking money to pay off high interest debt, maybe 10%, 20%, 30%. But in actuality, by doing that, you may be turning it into 150% interest cost to 200% interest cost now that you've rolled it into a mortgage, and a HELOC is a second mortgage. Don't fool yourself.
Yep.
So don't do it. Don't do it. Thank you very much, Perry, for bringing that out.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I give you your kudos because I had the conversation with you. I'm like, hey, with this pill method, man, I got lines of credit all over the place. He's like, no. I said, you know what? That's part of the WAM method. You know what I'm saying? So again, thank you for what you do. Nothing but love, right? So that's my deal on HELOC. I know we got some more questions in here we want to get to. What's next?
Next question.
Okay, the end of last year, the Secure 2.0 was passed. One part of that was open up the Roth simple IRAs to small businesses. Do you have any idea when there would be any of those accounts actually available? So all I can tell you here, me personally, as far as us, we have not done one of these for any of our clients, but according to my quick research here, these should have been available for folks at the end of the tax year after December 31st, 2022. So the 2023, those should be available unless some amendment or something was passed and said no, you can't do it. So I would say, reach out to whoever you get your simple with, if you're doing that through a Fidelity or through your financial advisor, and be like, hey, can you do the due diligence? I really want to take advantage of this Roth contribution to my simple IRA, and kind of see what they get from that standpoint. Because we don't do them, and I always just keep them 100 with y'all in full transparency. If we haven't done it, I'm not going to speak heavily to it. I'm going to say, hey, I don't know the answer to this. Still need to kind of do some due diligence. But if you're looking to open one, reach out to whoever that custodian is or that advisor is, and be like, yo, I want to do this. Is this something you can open up on your platform? It may be based on the advisor and the platform. Not all advisors can open up the same type of accounts. That could be a thing. So I would say, I would advise maybe hit up like a Vanguard, Fidelity, or something like that, and be like, hey, is this something we can do? Because according to the law that was passed, the Secure Act 2.0, it should be available. So that's my 2 cents on that one.
Hey, Perry, listen, I'll take a quick break. You gave us a lot of information. I know people are chomping at the bit. How can they easily get in touch with you? And what are some of the steps they would need to engage in just to see if this getting their particular financial plan put together? How would they go about doing that?
I thank you. So we engage with people on 3 levels. We believe in meeting people where they are, but it's only one of me. It's 6 of us. I have 6 people on our team, so 6 people in our firm, but I'm the lead advisor / CFO. So I cannot work with everybody one-on-one. But with that being said, we have 3 levels to engage. Our first level is our free Facebook group. It is called Cash Flow Unlocked. You can go to facebook.com/groups/Cash Flow Unlocked. Come on into the group. I do live trainings in there just like this every Thursday at 2 p.m. We drop resources in there, a ton of information. I am of the thought process, and I know a lot of folks will disagree with this. Disagree with this, but I'm of the thought process that information is free. You pay me for implementation. So information is free. Implementation comes with a fee. Okay. So that's the first place to engage. So I highly recommend anybody listening to this, come into the group. We're going to share some concepts and things of that nature that may blow your mind. Today's training, I literally did a training on end of the year financial planning. Think questions you should ask yourself. If you guys want me to go through that list, I'm happy to do that here with you. And yep, Mr. Daniels bringing that right up there for us. Cash Flow Unlocked. You pop on there. Oh, no, that's not us. It's a space between the cash and the flow. There we go. 2 words, cash flow. Perfect. There it is, that top one up top. Yep. Lifetime passive income for high income earners. So there it is right there. So this is our free Facebook group. So definitely join the group. That's the first way to engage us. Second way to engage us. If you are ready to work one-on-one with us, we will offer a complimentary consultation. Okay. But in order to be able to work with us, you will have a phone call in between there to be like, hey, this is where I am, because quite honestly, and this is just me being super transparent, you may not be ready to pay us our annual retainer to work with us. No worries, because we have a space in the middle. So we have a free group. We have the one-on-one concierge work with us one-on-one. And then we have a space in the middle where we do group coaching, have access to online tools where you can still get this information at a very, very reasonable cost. So we have 3 ways to engage with us. Join a free Facebook group, easy peasy. Hey, what I'm saying? I want to get on the call and see what's the best way to engage. After we talk to you and kind of see where you are, we're going to point you in a direction and say, yep, you'll probably be a good candidate to work with us one-on-one. Let's now discuss that process. Or, hey, right now you're not ready to be a candidate to work with us one-on-one because we don't want to have you incurring costs unnecessarily, but we do have a way to still get you the information you need so that you can work your way up to being one of our one-on-one clients. So, but start with the Facebook group. You can message me, friend me on Facebook, connect with me, get the trainings, the whole nine.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, folks, listen, let's get back to the questions. Now that you know how to get in touch, is there another way? There's like a website or
You
a
can go to our
phone number that
website. So you can go to Diamond Equity Advisors, but you ain't get in contact with me. It's just going to be
Mhm.
information purposes, right?
Okay.
There might be a link on there and say, hey, schedule a consult, something along those lines. But I like when it comes to finances, I want to be able to get belly to belly and engage people. Inside that Facebook group, you can actually talk to me, right?
Mm.
When I'm doing the trainings, you can ask questions the same way you're doing right now. You go to the website, it's like, hey, you're going to schedule a consultation. You're going to go into somebody's going to then reach out to you, say, hey, what you want to talk to him about? And it may or may not be what you need, right? So that's why we say just Facebook group, we send everybody there. Now, if you want to go to the website, it's just diamondequityadvisors.com. Easy peasy. If you want to go there and kind of like check it out, feel free to do that. And we also have, YouTube channels and Instagram and LinkedIn, all that jazz. Just Google my name and she'll pop right up.
All right. Let's get back to the questions.
Yeah. All right. This question that popped up here. If one is not financially savvy regarding investing in stocks, bonds, etc., is it okay to choose to invest in BlackRock 2050, which chooses investments for us based on our estimated year of retirement? So here's the deal. You already know, y'all been with me. Hold on. How long we been on this call now? An hour 16?
Hour 16.
Guess what I'm about to say. What does your financial plan say? Right. And if you don't have a financial plan, then we need to talk about what it looks like to invest in a financial plan, right? Because this question right here is very specific to a person. So just for clarity purpose and context, BlackRock 2050 is a target dated fund. What a target dated mutual fund is a fund that is built to go from typically go from aggressive to conservative. And at the point of time of retirement in the year 2050, should be allocated a certain way that's ideal for retirees. When you need the money, you should be taking the risk off the table and becoming more conservative versus when you're young. So if one is not financially savvy, right? Well, I don't know. Do you plan on retiring in 2050? You know what I'm saying? That's going to be the first question in there. Like, is that what you plan on doing? I don't know. If you plan on retiring in 2040, this is not the right deal. 2060 is not the right deal. So it really kind of comes down to the individual. Now, here's the deal. Inside this, if this is inside did it say inside the 401k? It didn't. Whether it's inside your 401k or not inside your 401k, target dated funds can be somewhat of a cheat code, right? It's like, hey, I really don't know what to pick. I got this 401k and there's 20 different options and I don't know nothing about Nathan, right? But I do know I plan on retiring in 2050. Then that may be a good fit for you. But again, the reason I say there's other things that need to be taken in consideration along those times, right? So could be a good core holding for your plan, but this is where, again, I'm going to reach out to a financial professional if I'm not financial savvy and say, hey, I plan on retiring in this year. This is the fund that I have inside my, retirement account. These are the other options. Is this the best option for me? And the reason I say it's so important for you to meet with somebody, this is a true story. So a couple years ago, our plans were, going for like $2,000-$3,000. Okay. And sometimes somebody is maybe hesitant, like, oh man, I don't want to pay that much. I'm like, it's cool. We're just not a good fit. And it's totally fine. I'm not tripping. Right. But this one particular client, I think at the time paid $2,000 for us to build out a financial plan for him. We were on their onboarding call for 10 minutes. And they was like, oh my God, you have already covered the cost of my plan. Because all we did, we looked at what she was invested in inside her 401k and said, this fund is making 0.6%, not even more 1%, 0.6% in a stable value fund. You're a young person. you should be investing a little bit more aggressively. Hey, let's look at this fund right here. You know what I'm saying? That's in line with your plan. This fund is doing, you know, what it was, 8.5%. Nothing crazy. It wasn't doing 20, 30%. But over the period of time, we ran the numbers for, and it was a $2 million difference. So whether I missed the mark or not, right? Whether it did 7 or 9%, it was a $2 million addition to her nest egg. She's like, oh my God. I said, and that's why people pay me, because you don't know what to look for. I do. I made a quick tweak, and she went from having, you know, whatever, $100,000 at retirement to having 2.1. Yeah, that's why you pay me what you did, because I know what to look for. So just understand that, going back to the, hey, it depends on the financial plan. But to answer your question, if you do not know what to pick, a target dated fund may be a cool idea, because you don't have to think about anything. All you got to do is just continue to pump money into the plan. Okay.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Next question.
Okay. A young person making plenty of money, never had financial guidance, but is looking for what to do. Family never had financial discussions and now wondering what to do. Whew. Thank you, Guy. Thank you, Mr. Harris, for asking that question. All right, y'all. After 20 years of doing this, and I know I don't look like I've been doing this 20 years, so I'm trust me, I didn't start when I was like 9. I'm actually pretty old. I have gray hair underneath this hat. After 20 years of doing this, over the past 5 years, I came to this realization. Folks don't need strategies. Let me say that again, and I'm gonna add to it. We can all go to the YouTube, the Googles, and get a bunch of information. There's a social Instagram, everybody throwing a strategy on Instagram. You should do this, you should do that, right? And I start having like really digging in and working with clients and going beyond just, hey, you should do this, you should do that. What we started doing, which we had no idea was going to have the impact that it did, is we started helping clients first unpack their money story before they started investing. Okay. So you may ask, Perry, what's your money story? Your money story effectively is your financial DNA. So the same way I'm 6'2", almost 6'3", 250 pounds. Yeah, I'm a little overweight for my height right now, but it's okay. But you inherit how to manage money from whom? You learn it from your parents. You either learn what to do or what not to do. From your grandparents, what to do and what not to do. You start to actually, so you're either going to go one or two ways. Oh, I don't want to do this how my mom did it, so I'm going to do it this way. Or this is how my mom said do it, so this is what I'm going to do here. So the challenges that a lot of us have with money ain't that there's lack of information or lack of strategies. You can jump on here and get some amazing information. I appreciate that whoever said amazing, right? You can jump on Google the same way I'm jumping on Google. I don't know the answers to everything, but I know what question to ask. I could jump on Google and get an answer, right? But how you are managing money today is a direct reflection on your money story. And let me unpack that a little bit more here for you. Many folks had that same situation. We didn't talk about money, right? But that's part of the money story. So when I look at my money story, and I share this inside the Facebook group, I actually do a 3-part series on it. So if you want to hear more details about it, definitely join the Facebook group and get the 3-part series on it. What I learned from my mom, well, let me start with my dad first. What I learned from my dad, we never talked about investing. We never talked about saving. The only financial advice he really ever gave me was, have you more than one hustle? Have you an A, B, C, and a D hustle? And he lived that. He was a firefighter. We had a tree trimming service. We were both lifeguards. He was a basketball referee. He was a track referee. Like, he literally had 7 to 8 hustles, right? And we had a family paper out on top of that. So that's how that's all I knew about money, right? Just get you a hustle. You know what I'm saying? If you lose one, be able to fall back on your B and C game, right? So that's how, as an adult, I thought about money. Hey, if I need more money, go get me another hustle. It was never, hey, put this money to work, invest it so you don't have to work anymore. And that money now can pay your bills because you put in assets that, what do we say? Accumulate assets that generate passive income and to cover your lifestyle expense. We never had that conversation, right? Now, on my mom's side, my mom It's like, man, like if YOLO, you know what I'm saying, you only live once was a person, you know what I'm saying, God rest her soul. My mom just passed here in September, so I love her to death. But her deal was like this: hey, if you want to get it, go buy it. You know what I'm saying? So she had immaculate credit. I remember she spent put $10,000 on a credit card to get to pave the driveway so I could work on my basketball game, right? And she always paid everything on time. She had immaculate credit, but she never said, hey, I got a 720 credit score. She's like, pay stuff on time, pay it off, and they keep giving you more money. So she lived a YOLO lifestyle. When we collected money on the paper route, we went straight out to eat. Okay. So now combine those two. Hustle, have you 10,000 hustles, and live YOLO. I don't care what strategy is out there. If that's my financial DNA, I'm going to move that way. And in my earlier years of being in the industry, it kicked my butt because I'm now a financial advisor. I got a $4 million real estate portfolio. I got an all white Jag. You know what I'm saying? Wilding, and I'll say this in full transparency, right? So, I'm young, I'm popping bottles, you know what I'm saying? I'm at the, like, spending money. Like, it was crazy how I was spending money because what was my financial DNA? Have you more than one hustle? I had that. I had real estate. I had a network marketing company. I had, I had 3-4 hustles, right? And I had the YOLO that I learned from my mom. You want it, go buy it. Just throw it in the bag. We ain't even looking at the tag, right? That is not a good, that is not a good strategy, right? But I had to sit back and unpack my money story, unlearn some things, and then seek advice for correction on how I viewed money. So I hired coaches, right? I hired a Don Daniel to help me navigate my interest cancellation program and pay stuff off fast, right? You know what I'm saying? I hired a business coach to help me with my profitability. You know what I'm saying? I joined a mastermind here. So it first starts for that person, that kid, young kid whose parents didn't talk about money. A lot of folks don't talk about money, which is wild to me because, I know I'm going on tangents. Y'all just stay with me here for a second. There's a book that we reference all the time called The Jewish Phenomenon. And it goes, The Jewish Phenomenon. I just want to make sure I give you the right title here. 7 Keys to Enduring Wealth of a People. So if you may or may not know this, yep, there's our website right there. You may or may not know this, but the Jewish population is less than 4% of the global population, but they control over 40% of the world's wealth. So how does less than 4% of the population control over 40% of the world's wealth, right? It's something to dig into. And one of the big takeaways from this book, they say in the book that wealth is transportable. Well, what does that mean? Wealth ain't what I gave you in a sense of assets. Wealth is what I taught you on how to accumulate and manage assets. So one of the reasons there's a huge wealth gap is because we're not having conversations about wealth. And there it is right there. And we got to have conversations about wealth. We should be to talk about money at the Thanksgiving dinner table the same way we talk about, what's going on social media or entertainment. Like we should be to talk about money, right? But unfortunately, it's a taboo topic. So when you get to a place where you're comfortable talking about money, you're going to learn a whole lot. So that's what I say. So going back to this question here, I know it's kind of roundabout answer. A young person making money, plenty of money, never had financial guidance, please hire somebody to work with, right? Hire somebody to work with, hire a mentor, hire a coach, hire a financial advisor, because you don't know what you don't know. And if your money story is that of, hey, I'm making a lot of money, but I don't know what to do with it, go talk to people who actually know what to do with it. And the pin on that I'm going to put is this: don't be afraid to ask for receipts. There's a lot of folks out here talking about what they do, and I do this and I do that. And if anybody worth their salt, you should be like, so tell me how your account is set up. Show me how much wealth you have. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, can I talk to 2 or 3 of your clients? So that's kind of my guidance on that. So you got to seek help. You don't know what you don't know. All you know is your money story. And there's going to be some things in there that you need to unlearn. All right, cool. Good question.
Wow. Okay. All right. Can you repeat pillar number 2 and 3?
Yeah. So number 2 of the wealth accelerator method, right? Pillar number 1 is cash flow management. A lot of different pieces to that. Pillar 2, systematic leveraged investing. Systematically, automatically putting money into an asset. leverage, growing that asset to where you can actually borrow against it and get other people's money, and then using that borrowed money to then go out and acquire assets to create cash flow. And number three is tracking and scoreboarding, knowing your numbers. You should know your numbers at all the time. And I use this example when I say scoreboard. So I'm a former athlete, kind of, I probably alluded to that. Oh, but actually read that in my bio, right? So I played Division I basketball. My daughters play basketball. They're phenomenal athletes. They're getting after it. And so imagine for, if you played a sport, and even if you didn't play a sport, you watched the game. Imagine if you was watching, the NBA finals, right? Or the World Series, and there was no scoreboard. You don't know how much time is left on the clock. You don't know what quarter or inning it is. You don't know if you should be fouling. You don't know if you're up or down. So imagine playing a game and then you look at me like, so there's no scoreboard. So are we up? Are we down? Are we losing? Are we winning? Do we need to foul? Do we need to call a timeout? How much time is left? Now, take that same image and apply it to your finances. If you ain't got no scoreboard and you ain't tracking your numbers, you're like playing a game of basketball, football, baseball, soccer, whatever the case may be, with no scoreboard. You have to track these numbers. You need to know these numbers. So that's the third piece. So first pillar, cash flow management. Second pillar, systematic leverage and investing. Third pillar, scoreboarding and tracking.
Listen, we're going to talk about this next week, folks. When we get back from our break, we're just going to bring up the pill method opportunity cost calculator, which tracks your income and do the expenses that we're talking about, so you'll know what to do with that money. Do you know how many people I talk to that have no idea how much money they even make? They don't know how much money they make, and they really don't know how much money they're spending.
Absolutely not.
So without a systematic way to track that, you cannot have a financial plan. So when we come back from the break, the next week after Thanksgiving, we're going to bring up the pill method opportunity cost calculator and talk about planning that part of the three pillars. How can you track your income and your expenses to know what to do with your money? So we're going to bring that up. Thank you, Perry.
Absolutely. Yep. And it's golden. You know what I'm saying? So I used the pill method on the personal side and it was having so much success. I reached out to Mr. Daniel. I said, hey, man, I need this for the business side. You know what I'm saying? I was looking like a fiend. I was like, hey, man, y'all got any more of that software out there? I'm trying to use that one. Hey, man, y'all got any more of them pill methods out there? Man, I'm paying stuff off. So, but what I love about it is that with that pill method piece, with the coaching as well as with the AI, that's one less thing I have to think about, because let's keep it 100 with you. To go out and try to implement this on your own, to try to go and implement the pill method on your own with a spreadsheet, or for you try to implement our wealth accelerator method, it can be overwhelming because there's so many different moving parts to it. So when you can actually leverage technology and leverage coaching and somebody to kind of help guide you a little bit, you're going to save team, you're going to save time, energy, and money. And it's just super important. So I'm so thankful for the pill method on the business and the personal side, because that's one less thing I got to think about, and I can really focus on the other stuff, because literally all I got to do is log in, pay off stuff, put in my budget and all that. So I just love it. I just love it. So thank you, brother. Thank you for that, Mr. Daniel. I appreciate you.
All right, we're going to talk about all of that towards the end, folks. You're going to be able to get all this information. We're going to put all the links up towards the end, but let's try to get as many questions as we can, because I promise not to keep them over 2 hours, Perry. I promise.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so let's put the next question up.
Yeah. Ooh, okay, got it. So let's talk about estate planning, right? So the proper steps for estate planning. Step number one, hire an attorney to do the estate plan. So that's step number one. Now you can go and Google and research some stuff and say, hey, like jump on Google, how to create an estate plan. Like literally, I might jump into, let's see what Chat GPT is going to say about estate plan. I'm just curious since we're here. Chat GPT. I'm about to jump in. I'll share my screen here in a second, y'all, after I get it pulled
I tell
up.
you what, I use Chat GPT all the time, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, for sure. I'm curious to see if it's going to say it in a more concise way than I'm going to try to explain. What are the proper steps for estate planning. Let me share my screen here, y'all. Okay. Says estate planning is a crucial process that involves making arrangements for the management and distribution of your assets in an event of incapacity or death. So number one, assess your assets and liabilities. Know your numbers. Set your objectives and goals. Be very, very specific. Create and update your will. Number three, establish a living will and healthcare proxy. Consider a trust. Name your beneficiaries. Review and update. Consider tax implications. Organize important documents. Communicate your wishes. Consult with professionals. I would have put this consult with professionals as number one because they would have given you the templates and everything in the folders that you need to kind of do everything else, and also determine, what your will needs to look like, what your trust needs to look like, and things of that nature, right? So I'm just real big. So let me give the real life example. So I had accumulated this $4 million real estate portfolio, right? I had 25 doors. This was back in, I started buying real estate back in 2001 up until the market crashed 2007, 2009. And I went to, a friend, who was an attorney, a general attorney. It's like, man, the market's kicking my butt. My bank's not lending money. We got these projects that are due, what should I do? So he wasn't a real estate attorney. He was an attorney, but he wasn't a real estate attorney. So his advice to me was to file bankruptcy. Okay. Worst advice you could have ever given me. Right. But he was like, oh yeah, just file bankruptcy and all the stuff. Right. So I hired a professional, but I didn't hire the right professional. Right. Because had I not been cheap and spent $10,000, and this is a true story, I have a client who has about 80 properties, and he nets, I'm talking about gross, he nets $30,000 to $40,000 a month. We had this exact same amount of properties, almost the same portfolio at the same time in 2000, 2009. But I didn't want to spend $10,000 on an attorney. I went to go to the homie, spend, $1,000 or whatever the case may be. So I ended up losing my entire portfolio. It just ended up imploding and blah, blah, blah. My other guy went hired real estate attorneys who charged him 10 grand, and they gave him the play. Split the properties up that you want to keep into these LLCs, split the ones you don't want to keep into these LLCs, let those go under. They're so backed up right now on foreclosures that you'll just, stop making the payments and collect the rent, keep that cash. We're going to keep this. And he was able to go back and literally buy some of his old properties back for pennies on a dollar because he spent that $10,000. Don't be cheap with stuff that's important. So I learned from that lesson, I would not be cheap. I know a lot of the stuff. I know, y'all read my bio, you heard my bio. I travel around the state of Ohio and also around the country educating bookkeepers and accountants on how to manage cash flow and advise their clients. But I don't do my own taxes. I don't do my own bookkeeping. I'm gonna let an expert do that because the tax laws change and things of that nature, right? So same way with this piece over here, I have attorneys. I have a business attorney, I have an estate planning attorney. So I'm just of the mindset, hire the expert who specializes in that, not the homie, not the generalist. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, if you need heart surgery, are you going to the foot doctor? Right? No, they work on fungus. They a doctor, but they know fungus. They don't know what to do with your heart. So I'm not having the foot doctor, work on my heart, or if I need a brain surgeon, right? So go get you an expert that specializes in that space. I apologize if I'm yelling at y'all. So going back, so with the estate planning, first consult with a professional, right? And then they're going to give you the guides on how to create it. But I will tell you guys this. Estate planning is for, sometimes we think estate planning is for when I'm dead, but estate planning is also for your, when you're alive. I have a living trust and I have benefits of having a living trust, and I get benefits for that today. I put money into this trust all the time. My home that I bought is in the name of the trust. So there's benefits. So estate planning is just looking at, hey, now that I've accumulated these assets, how do I protect them? How do I protect them from creditors? That's part of estate planning. So don't think estate planning always is, hey, what happens when I die? Yeah, that's part of it, but there's also what happens when you're living. That's part of your estate planning as well. Okay. But I'll say first step, definitely holler at a professional.
Excellent. Okay. Next question.
Okay. As you said, not everyone can afford 2K financial advisor. So what does this person do? Are there qualities you recommend to look for in a financial advisor? Yes. Okay. So, all right. I want to make sure I frame this and say this the right way so I'm not offensive, because I've been told by my family that sometimes I come off abrupt. Here's the deal. First, if someone can't afford it, I realize everybody can't afford that. Okay, so I'm going to say that first. I'm also going to say to that same person that says, man, I can afford 2K. And I say, that's fair. But I do have a question for you. Who do you love the most in the world right now? You know what I'm saying? What is it, your daughter? Is it your wife? Is it your mom? Whatever the case may be. And they're going to tell me somebody. And I'm going to say, okay. And if you had to come up with $2,000 to save their life, could you come up with $2,000? More times than not, they can come up with $2,000. So typically, I'm not saying that everybody can, but I'm saying typically, if the why is strong enough, we can figure out how to get it done. Same person that says I can't spend $2,000 on a financial plan, be over in Dominican Republic, showing pictures on Facebook, you know what I'm saying, how they on the island, but not. It's like, you spent money to get there. So we have to make sure we become really conscious and intentional on how we spend our money. So that's my first.
Perry, listen. I've listened to you. I've been hearing you, and I've tried to stay quiet, but I can't stay quiet on this one.
Go ahead, give it to me. Go ahead, talk to me.
I can't stay quiet on this one. They can't afford. People who say I can't afford to pay $2,000 can't afford to lose $2,000 by not engaging.
Jeez.
They can afford to lose it because they definitely will lose it. They will definitely pay more interest than they need to. They'll definitely pay more taxes than they need to. Yeah. They will definitely pay by not earning the kind of money that they could have earned. That should be considered a loss.
Yep.
They can afford to lose $2,000.
Yeah.
If you can afford to lose it, ladies and gentlemen, you can afford to pay it. I'm done.
Wow, mic drop. You know what I'm saying? I would throw my mic on the ground, but I think I paid too much money for it. I think I paid $40 for it, so I can throw my mic on the ground. But that's it. So let me piggyback off of that. Let me piggyback off of that. I remember when we was looking at, my analysis, right? And it's like, hey, your cost for the pill method is going to be this, but your projected savings is going to be this. Me and my wife were looking at this, and she's tapping my leg and I'm tapping her leg, and we already knew we was going to invest in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, but this is a no-brainer. So I can spend $1 to save $5,000. Well, yeah, I'm going to spend that all day, every day. So going back to the financial plan, which again, I was trying to be sensitive and not say, hey, you got to figure it out, but I'm glad you said what you said. But here's the deal. Literally, when somebody, before they engage with us on a financial plan, we send them a video and we say, watch this video before you get on your consultation call. In the video, we give them a guarantee. If you decide to hire us to do your financial plan, during your onboarding call, if we do not identify a way that has either saved you your cost for the financial plan or made you the cost for the financial plan, we will send you your paper back. We say this is in the video. It's in the video. We will send you your paper back and go our separate ways. But we are so confident that after we sit down and start to unpack how you overpaying in taxes because you don't understand the tax law, how you invested in the wrong stuff because you don't understand investments, how you're mismanaging your cash flow because you don't understand cash flow, we have never had to give anybody their money back. Because on that initial call, because we've already, analyzed everything, we looked at the statements, we already know what we can save them. And when we get on ourselves, say, hey, let's just cut to the chase. You spent this for your financial plan. We identified this right here, and you're gonna make that back. And they're like, well, now you're working with me for free. So you figure it out, right? Go ahead.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, listen, I can't. Oh, listen. All kind of ideas. Listen, Perry and I are going on the road, ladies and gentlemen. See y'all later. We're going on the road,
baby.
We're taking this on the road. Oh my gosh, there is so much information here. All right, let's get at least one or two more questions in here. Come on,
we got a good one in here. The next one, I think that's a good one. Patrice bringing that one up for everybody. Can you give the questions for the end of your financial? Yeah. Hold on one second here. I'm going to go ahead and pull it up here. Let me share here with you real quick.
And Don,
Share.
when you guys go on the road, I'm going to travel with you and be the moderator because you're not leaving me out of this.
I heard that, Patrice. I heard that, Patrice.
All right, y'all. So here's I'm going to rapid fire this. And I don't know if we can send people assets and things of that nature, but I'm probably just going to turn this into a PDF document and offer it to the Facebook community. So if you come in, I'll shoot you this document. But literally, it's like, hey, first question, first category, budget review. Have I reviewed my annual budget to ensure it aligns with my financial goals? Are there areas where I can make adjustments to improve my overall financial health? Next category, emergency fund. Is my emergency fund adequately funded to cover 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses? Do I need to make any adjustments to my emergency savings based on changes in income or expenses? Debt management. Have I reviewed my outstanding debts and made a plan to pay down interest debts or get you? Don't get me started, Mr. Daniel. All right. Or also, are there opportunities to refinance, consolidate debts to save interest? Right. We don't like that one, but again, that's why you have a strategy and you have a system in place and you work with an expert. Insurance coverage. Have I reviewed my insurance policies, life, health, auto, to ensure they provide adequate coverage? There's a lot of people walking around underinsured, right? They need $1 million policy and they got a $10,000 policy. Do I need to make adjustments to cut my coverage based on changes? I had to get more life insurance when I got married to make sure my wife was good. When we bought a house, I went and got some more life insurance to make sure if I died, the house got paid off. Retirement planning. Have I reviewed my retirement savings goals and contributions to retirement accounts? Is it possible to increase my contributions to take advantage of tax benefits? Hey, did you know making contributions to your traditional 401k and traditional IRA actually is a tax benefit? Did you know that you can do that after the first of the year up until April 15th? You can make that contribution and reduce your taxable income. Maybe that's a play for you. Investment portfolio. Have I reviewed my investment portfolio to ensure it aligns with my risk tolerance? Are there necessary adjustments based on the market and personal circumstances? Tax planning. Have I considered tax implications of financial decisions such as investment gains, inheritance, and or other windfalls? Are there opportunities for tax efficient investing or gifting? Education savings, have you put money aside for kids' education, whatever vehicle that is? And then estate planning. Have I reviewed my will, trust, beneficiary designations to ensure they reflect my current wishes? Are there updates needed based on changes in family dynamics, right? And have I revisited my financial goals and priorities for the upcoming year? Are there new goals to set or existing ones that need to be adjusted on my current situation? So I literally did a full training on that today. But yeah, those are questions you got to ask yourself, right? And the deal is you might not know the answers to those questions. So one thing I also said in the training, we talked about goal setting, because that's kind of where this training kind of jumped off from, was goal training, around, hey, what are the pillars of creating a good, of making a goal and also to achieving a goal? Those 4 pillars, since we sharing stuff, make the goal specific, GPS destination. Don't tell me, hey, Mr. Daniel, what's your financial goal for 2024? Man, I'm trying to create generational wealth. What does that even mean? Versus, hey, I want to increase my passive income from $100 to $2,000, right? That's now a very specific goal. So your goal has to be like a GPS. I use the example. If I'm driving from Ohio to Texas, I'm not getting in the car and my man talking about, hey, how we get into Texas? Mr. Daniel, like, hey, bro, how we get into Texas? And I'm like, hey, man, I'm going to go southwest and we're going to figure it out. First of all, Texas is huge. I could be in one part of Texas, be 12 hours away from where I need to be. What am I going to put in? I'm going to put in the street address, the zip code, and all of that. So I go straight there. That's how specific you have to be on your goals. Then you have to set a deadline. Folks kill me with this. Oh man, I want to make X amount of dollars. Cool. When you want to do it by? Because you want to make $1 million. Well, if you make $25,000 a year and work 40 years, you've made $1 million. So is that the plan? I don't know. Is that the plan you're talking about, or you want to make $1 million in the next? Like, when do you want to make it? You got to have a deadline. I like quarterly goals. You need to work your numbers, love your numbers, and reverse engineering. Everything you're trying to get accomplished financially starts with a calculator. I promise to goodness. And you just got to get comfortable with it. Sometimes you may not know what to put in the calculator, but it starts with the calculator. The calculator is pretty much going to tell you everything. Your financial freedom is on your calculator, and on your calendar. Your calendar and your calculator. I got to make sure I write that down because that's a whole new content post I'm going to have to do. That's where you find your wealth, in your calculator and your calendar, where you spend your time and how you spend your money, but being able to reverse engineer, right? And then identify your accountability team. I literally have it right here on my sheet. I have been in my industry 20 years. I typically run circles around most tax advisors, and I run, you know what I'm saying? I lap most financial advisors because I think outside the box, right? But guess who I have? I got an insurance specialist. I got a tax accountant. I got a bookkeeper. I have an estate attorney. I have a business attorney. I'm not trying to make all these financial decisions on my own because I'm human, right? You know, I might be arguing with my wife about what dinner was, right? So, you know what I'm saying? And I might forget to do something. So that's why I have my team of experts and I pay everybody. I got a Don Daniel to help me with my pill method. Like, I build my team, build your team. And if you can't afford it, right, then you figure out what pieces you need right now. And you figure, right? But you got to start building your team. And the last piece I had in here was the accountability piece, right? I see on social media, it always cracks me up when I see somebody make this post or something to the effect, hustle in silence. Don't let them know what you're doing. Okay. Well, you don't have any real friends, because your real friends you should be able to talk to and tell them what you're doing. Hey, Mr. Daniel, my goal is to make $500,000 this year, you know what I'm saying, in 2023. And my friend is going to say, yo, that's a dope goal. You need help with anything? How you going to do that? Can I help out in any way? So if you can't have that conversation, you know what I'm saying, with your folks, and you hustling in silence, you hustling backwards. Get you some new friends and adopt a new family. All right.
Exactly. Listen. If you hanging around 4 broke friends, you're the 5th one. I'm just telling you.
Facts. So having those conversations.
All right, gentlemen, I'm doing a time check here. We're at 10:22. We respect your time. Perry, you've been dropping diamonds in this joint. I'm serious. I'm sorry, I forgot we were living at a church. I had to write my name.
It's all good. You know what? You live my best life. As my mom would say, bless her heart, she'd be like, God knows my heart. Right after she cussed you out,
Okay.
she said, God know my heart. So it happens to the best of us. Don't worry about it.
It looks like somebody wants us to do. I see I did that. Wants us to do the tour stop in NYC.
Yes, we have to stop in NYC.
No doubt.
Yeah, so we need to. So no. Listen. Hey Don, we're gonna talk about this thing because we may have to do a couple cities. Man.
Come on now.
Listen. Okay, it's already. I'm spoken. It's in the atmosphere. So real quickly, I'm going to get one more question in there, and this is something that was very pivotal that I think I wanted to address real quickly.
Okay.
You talked, Perry. You mentioned and touched briefly on the trust.
Yeah.
And I think we talked about this behind the scenes right before we got started.
Yeah.
So can we dive in just a little bit if you have an extra time, just to kind of get into that? Let's go into the trust in conjunction or comparing that with a will.
Yeah.
And exactly why trust is what are the benefits of a trust?
Gotcha.
Particularly if you are managing your assets and wanting to have it, sort of be a legacy for the next generation.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make this a twofold question, so you can go from one to the other.
Okay.
The next thing is the living trust.
Yeah.
And you mentioned about purchasing properties in your homes and living trust. Yeah. So the question that I have, obviously, the first is having that attorney to help you with that, navigate those waters. Mm-hmm. How long does it take to get a living trust? And can you take property you currently have and transfer it into the living trust and out of your name? So that way now it becomes part of your overall, that financial plan.
Yep. So let me just tackle that last question, that latter one now. Yes, you can always transfer assets to the name of the trust. We bought our home initially in my name, and then we transferred it to the name of the trust. So you can always transfer assets to the trust. So to answer that question, absolutely yes. And then let me jump in and just share my screen. So throw it up for everybody, Patrice, if you can.
Will do.
All right. So without getting into a whole bunch of legal jargon, I'm gonna try to keep it just as simple and 100 as we can. Your will is going to dictate where your stuff goes. hey, I want my daughter to get my basketball shoes. She's going to get my Jordans. So that's kind of what your will is going to do, is kind of dictate where those possessions go. Your living trust, or your trust, is where the true generational wealth is going to come into play. Both are going to be needed for, to avoid probate and your stuff going to the state. But the living trust is a living, breathing document, which gives your wishes over your overall finances and all of your assets into the future. But again, like I said earlier, you can still benefit from it today as far as using the trust for asset protection and things of that nature. That's a whole nother conversation. But I'm going to share with you guys our trust. So here's my backstory. My wife and I have been married 6 years. Okay. My daughters, I have twin daughters, are 14. My daughters are not her biological children. Okay. So we have kind of a blended family situation going on. We have me and my wife, and then she has my kids. One daughter stays with us full time. The other one still travels back 50-50. I know it sounds crazy with twins, but that's how we're set up and we make it work. So I had to go out and create something to make sure that I protected my wife and also protected my kids. So had I not created this document here, if something were to have happened to me, one child may have had to go back and stay with their biological mom, which they don't want to do. And also, two, if I had their name as the beneficiary on my insurance, those money, because the kids are minors, would have went to that parent, right? And we don't want that either. So we got a bunch of moving parts going on. So when you have a bunch of moving parts going on, don't think people are going to do what's best. Always default to worst case scenario and having documentation that says what happens. So here's our trust, and this is literally our trust. You asked one question: how long does it take to set up? It took us maybe 30 days, and it's just 30 days because I wouldn't really want to think about what I wanted to add to it. So I went to my estate planning attorney and said, hey, I need a trust. And I said, now, I never had a trust before. We want to build this out. How do we make this happen? Right. And he started asking me questions. Again, hired the expert. I didn't know what I didn't know. So he said, hey, clients, other clients kind of like you, Perry, they have this piece and they have this in the trust. So let me break down what this trust is doing for my family. Okay. So these first couple pages are the templated stuff. Nothing fancy there. Right. Hey, blah, blah, blah. This is just simple trust language. Okay. But then we get into some really good stuff here. So I have a couple $1 million worth of insurance on me. And now this is going to say how these funds are going to be distributed to the girls, right? So let me start here. So tangible personal property: after the death of the grantees, the trustees should distribute certain items, tangible property, to specific beneficiaries pursuant to Exhibit A. So I can call out here, hey, you get this, you get that. You know what I'm saying? So this supersedes the will. Second deal, division of trust, what that looks like. Distribution for children. Okay, how the money goes to them. But then let's get to the fun stuff. So right now, the beneficiary, hey, sweetie, you just want to come? You need something? Okay, good night. Give me a hug. Say hi to the peoples. This one of the babies here. Great game today. Love you. Oh, you're alive. Yeah, I'm alive right now. I told you I'm working. Bye. That's why I have to leave the game early. Goodbye. Okay. Love you. All right, cool. All right. So this is why we do this, right, for the kids. So bring that trust back up here. So distribution for children. I now have this set up to where, hey, money, my beneficiary on my life insurance policies is the trust. Not my wife, not my kids, the trust. Okay. So we now have money set aside where $20,000, when it's time for them to drive, they get $20,000 for a car. So they can't go out and buy no Mercedes Benz or no Bentley or nothing, you know what I'm saying? And they got to share it. Also, too, we got to set up to where the trust would pay them out $15,000 for wedding. Again, you might want to do a destination wedding because we know we ain't getting married for $15,000 here in the U.S. So, but we did a destination wedding in Jamaica. It was a win for everybody, and we did it for less than $15,000. Also, too, the trust is set up that if they hit a certain grade point average, they get $250 or $500, depending if they hit merit roll or honor roll. If they decide to go to college, same thing applies, depending on where you hit. $1,000 for, a 3.0 to 3.5 and a 3.5 to 4.0, you get $2,000. Income matching. I love this piece right here. So if they decide to start a business, because we are teaching entrepreneurship in our home, if they decide to start a business, the trust is going to match their gross income for, I believe, the first 5 calendar years. So not their net income, their gross income. So if they start their business and they make $20,000 gross, the trust is going to match that $20,000 to keep them in business and give them that, give them an incentive to keep going. If they decide to take over one of my companies, the trust is going to pay them $10,000 a month for 24 months. That is $240,000 for them to keep the business afloat while they decide whether or not they want to keep working with the clients or not, right? So that's broken down that way. So that's awesome there. And then the trust says, hey, at this age, outright distribution to the kids, we are not giving folks who are under 25 years of age a couple $1 million. So they get 1/4 of the assets. Because what would you do when you was 25, 22, 23 with $1 million? Lord have mercy.
Just a second, Perry.
Yes.
Folks, I apologize. We are going to go over 2 hours this time, but please forgive me. But Perry, keep going.
Okay, got it. We're rocking and rolling.
Because we're going to go over 2 hours this time. Just this one time.
Yes, we're going to give them 1/4 the assets at 25, 1/3 the assets at 30, and then we're going to break them off the rest of the money when they turn 40, when they mature enough to actually manage, kind of handle money, right? So all of this is built into the trust, and it's a living, breathing document, so I can always change it. So this is what you call a revocable living trust. Revocable means that I can cancel it, shut it down, add, all that stuff. An irrevocable trust, you can't change. This is what it is. So this is a revocable living trust, and it's set up pretty lovely. So this protects my wife, this protects our kids, and make sure they're set up in the whole 9. So I'm always willing to share this with folks just so they can see it, because before I had a trust, I didn't know what everything that needed to be included in it, right? And I think we've set the girls up pretty good. And what's lovely about it is that, we can always add things to it. Hey, I started another business. Okay, cool. Let me add the kids to that whole piece. So that's the deal with that. So that's why we love the trust. Like I said, after we bought the home, I very quickly moved the title to the name of the trust. And I remember taking the daughters across the street and we looked at our crib. And I said, so this is your house. And she's like, what did kids like? Yeah, Dad, we know this is our house. I said, no, this is your house. The Jeffries Family Trust owns this house. What's your last name? Jeffries. So this is your house. So you take pride in this home because this is your legacy. This is something that you should be able to pass down to your kids. And it just hit differently for them. So I love that we kind of talked about the trust on the way out the door to kind of put a cap on all of this stuff, because ultimately, if we're talking about really creating generational wealth, it ain't about your crypto account, it ain't about your stock account. It's really about your paperwork. Do you have the correct paperwork in place? Because this trust right here, a lot of people have heard how the Rockefellers became their own bank. This is how they did it, right? I know I sound like Jay-Z when I say that, this is how they did it, on the 444 album. But here's the deal. This is how they did it. So the Rockefellers had everybody in the family, that had life insurance, named the trust as the beneficiary. So that trust got tax-free dollars that went into the trust. And watch this, because I'm going to connect the dots with the wealth accelerator method. So now they have millions of dollars in this trust account. Now, when the little mini Rockefellers come up and they want to, hey, I need $100,000 to go buy this apartment building, they would let them borrow money out the trust. But this is the part that people don't know. They actually never took money out the trust. They got a line of credit on the trust, used the trust as collateral, and used that line of credit to give the little Johnny Rockefeller in case he went out there and did something reckless, and they didn't lose anything out the trust and didn't have any taxable events. So they avoided taxes, kept their asset earning money, however it was invested, the whole 9, and they were still able to lend out to the family. And little Johnny had a note where he had to pay the loan back. And if he didn't pay the loan back, hey, it's just a bad debt we're going to write off. So there you go. I think that's a good cap to anything. Is there any clarifying questions that we have about that?
Wow. You're muted, Patrice.
Because I'm sitting here, when I tell you, I'm not joking. I'm not joking. This is absolute. Please, Perry, I don't know how we can do this maybe before the end of the year. I don't know how we can talk about this, but it'll be great for the both of you to come back on just one more time before the new year, or even at the top of the year, just for maybe a special show as people are planning for 2024 and what to look for. Tax laws are changing, what's going on with LLCs, and LLCs now being encouraged to go into trusts and all that sort of stuff. It's a lot of layers when it comes to our finances. So we definitely want to make sure you'll have you guys back. But I'm going to just say, everybody, thank you so much for hanging in here. We have been up to like on average 50 people strong for over 2 hours. And and the replay on this is going to be crazy because I know everybody's going to share the link on this. So
Yes.
prepare to be sick of them. So
Wow. This has been off
Already.
the chain, ladies and gentlemen.
Already.
I did not even anticipate that it was going to. I knew it was going to be good, but my goodness, Lord have mercy. This is beyond phenomenal. Beyond phenomenal. Perry, thank you so very, very much for the information that how God has poured into you, and then you poured into us. Phenomenal, man, phenomenal. And let me say, listen, when you are have this kind of knowledge, and you're willing to share it, because I love what you said, that the knowledge is free, but implementation,
Yeah.
implementation.
Yeah.
All right. And I call it a value proposition. Okay. I said, implementation is a value proposition. There's something you're going to have to pay for.
Yeah.
But listen, this is great stuff. The information that you gave out is information that people have to pay for. Are you hearing me, everybody? What you got tonight was a master class. Come on. Paid for by the Holy Spirit. That's all I'm saying. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. So, ladies and gentlemen, listen, we're going to jump out of here, but I wanted to put some things on the screen before we get out. Here's Perry's the Facebook page. Okay. Mm-hmm. Cash flow unlocked. Okay. Cash flow unlocked. So don't miss out on that. All right. And then because the links are actually in the chat. And here is his website, Diamond Equity Advisors. All right. And here's the book that he talked about, The Jewish Phenomenon, 7 Keys to an Enduring, to the Enduring Wealth of a People. Okay. And here is my information. Okay. We have ice10k.com, ice10k.com. All right. And that is when the way to get started in tracking your finances is to get a savings and earnings report. And you find that right underneath ET's picture here, where he says, because he paid off his mortgage using the pill method, how to get a savings and earnings report. And it comes up like this. It's a free savings and earnings report. Know the month, day, and year you can be debt free. Know how much interest you are going to be able to save, and then give an idea of how you can take those savings and turn it into a return on that investment. So that's why we call it a savings and earnings report. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is why we put. So once you find that out, we link you with Perry, and then it says, okay, we know what you're doing as far as debt reduction. We know how much money we're working with, and this is where the leveraging point comes in. This much to debt, this much to wealth creation, and we all work together. Most financial planners will work in opposition to interest cancellation. Yep. This one will work in conjunction with you, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Here is my book, The Pill Method. And right now on Amazon, we are number 22 on Amazon. And what is amazing on the bestsellers, if you go to bestsellers in Seventh-day Adventist Christianity, I want you to see something here. For gift ideas, we are number 3. Can you believe that? Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you for this. We're number 3 for gift ideas of, like for Christmas. And coming up, let me see here. And for most wished for book, we're number 2. How about that? All right. So praise the Lord for that. And here is the website, the Pill Method website. And not only, but last but not least, the Pill Method YouTube channel. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of information here for you tonight. Don't forget to that we're off next week, but when we come back, we're going to feature the AI system, the cloud-based AI cloud-based computing program that does all of this work, that gets you set up to get into your financial plan by understanding your core finances. Tracking income and expenses is key. I mean, tracking every penny. Every dollar has what, Perry?
Every dollar has a job. Leave no
Every
dollar
dollar.
unemployed. Leave no dollar unemployed.
No dollar unemployed. This is the key to it all. And no, you've got to have something that will help you manage that money. And we're the only game you used to say our only game in town, but we're the only game on the planet that does this, ladies and gentlemen. The only game on the planet that does this, and we're bringing it to you as a way of showing our appreciation and giving back to the community. The Bible says, freely you have received, now freely give. All right. So listen, ladies, so I want to let you go. We've been here. We're 10 minutes over, but I'm praying for your forgiveness here. And we're going to give Perry opportunity to say some parting words, and then we'll pray and say goodnight.
Super quick, y'all. First of all, thank you for those who joined us and spent over 2 hours with us. Thank you for your energy. We love you. We appreciate you. We're here to help you. Second, shameless plug, join the free Facebook group, connect with me in there, shoot me a message. Love to hear from you, get your feedback. And then also too, thank you to Mr. Daniel. Thank you to Patrice. This is just awesome. This is how wealth is created, right? It's not the strategy as much as it is getting that understanding, right? And changing the mindset and learning what you don't know and things of that nature. I can go on and on about it. So thank you so much. And then also too, thank you to the church. Like the fact, and I hope I don't speak out of turn when I say this, but the fact that a church is actually putting on an event that can really move the financial needle for the congregation, kudos to the church. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, that's major. Like I've been asked to come in and speak in different platforms and things of that nature, but to have, if we can get the church in alignment, like how powerful can we be? Like, you know, say I have a client who's a dentist, and you know, asking the other day, I asked on the page, hey, what's the purpose of money? And he said the purpose of money. I'm gonna read it to you guys real quick, and then I'm off of here. I asked the question today, and he said, I thought his answer was so telling. I said, hey, what's the purpose of money? He said, it's a gift, a vehicle that is used to help you accomplish the matters of the heart, right? So we can talk about the money and all of that. And I know we all want to get to the bag, but why do we really want to get to the bag? So I can spend all the time with my wife and daughters that I want to spend with them, right? Why I want to get to the bag? Because I don't want to be on the island vacation by myself. You know what I'm saying? I want to be there with, 50,000 of my closest friends and everybody knowing that they have some financial freedom and time to spend, just doing the things that they enjoy, serving and things of that nature. So this is so big in that sense. Thank you for that. Thank you for the platform. Thank you, Patrice. Thank you, Mr. Daniel. Nothing but love.
All right, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Let's pray. Father God, we thank you so much for the information that was given tonight. We thank you for Perry. We thank you for his family, for lending him to us for 2 whole hours plus. And we thank you, Father, for helping us to understand that you've given us good gifts, but now you're teaching us how to manage those gifts so that we can be the best version of ourselves and be an influence in this world. Father, thank you so much for every person that is listening, that is watching this broadcast, and for everyone that will watch the replay. Bless us all. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. All right, everybody. So thank you so much for being here. And we'll be back in 2 weeks. Good night to everyone. Thank you.